These are 5 declassified Soviet space incidents they tried to keep buried, starting with Yuri Gagarin.
In 1961, right at the beginning of the space race, Sergei Korolev, the chief architect of the Soviet space program, invited the final cosmonaut candidates to inspect the Vostok capsule. These finalists were the best of the best: German Titov, Grigory Nelubov, Andrian Nikolaev, and Yuri Gagarin. All elite pilots, highly skilled with years of training and experience. All heroes ready for the mission. But only one of them would make history as the first human in space. Korolev and his team of scientists watched closely as each candidate climbed inside the capsule. They weren't just looking for a strong pilot, they were looking for someone who understood the machine, the mission, and the moment. After the decision was made, one of the scientists turned to Korolev and asked,
"Comrade Korolev, why him? Why Gagarin?"
"Well, it is simple, comrade. Didn't you see? Gagarin took off his shoes before entering the capsule."
Soviet cosmonauts were a different kind of people, a different breed.
One day in 1986, right at the end of the space race, a board operator in the Mission Control Center decided to prank the crew of the Soviet Mir space station. After listening to the report and relaying the usual updates to the work plan, he added, "And one more thing, we don't like your telemetry, you have to ventilate the station. Over." The crew understandably was stunned. They asked, "How are we supposed to ventilate it?" "Well, just open a window for about 10 minutes. The cosmonauts started wondering if everyone on Earth had got insane and whether it was even worth coming back. Then they realized it was a joke, so they figured they should respond in kind. At the next communication session, it was early morning in Mission Control. A review commission happened to show up. This and that completed on schedule, done, postponed as instructed, crew condition excellent. Also, the station has been ventilated. Over. The commission's eyes nearly popped out of their heads. The operator on duty, a different one this time, could barely stay in his chair. Excuse me? What did you ventilate? The station, as per the additional instruction received during the last session. You ventilated the station? How? We opened the window for 10 minutes as ordered. Now it was Mission Control's turn to go pale. After some intense head scratching, they understood that they had understood nothing. Mission Control signed off and chaos erupted. Of course, everything was eventually sorted out. What happened to the prankster operator is unknown, but the crew upon returning were given an enormous enema for better health. As the mission's chief put it, for untimely jokes under aggravating circumstances.
Yeah, back in the Soviet days, it wasn't one mistake and you're mistaken.
It was one mistake and you unsubscribed from life, literally. Like, did you know that just 20 days before Yuri Gagarin's historic flight, a cosmonaut Valentin Bondarenko died inside a pressure chamber during training? The whole incident was classified until 1986. For decades nobody knew, because the government didn't want to darken the story of the first man in space.
And honestly, the Gagarin story itself, it's even more bizarre.
And then there was the other side of it, the human side. Because yeah, discipline was strict. You were not supposed to drink at all.
But would that stop a Soviet cosmonaut? Of course not.
In December 1977, the crew of Soyuz 26, Yuri Romanenko and Grigory Grechko, managed to sneak a flask of cognac on board. They would take a small sip now and then before going to sleep, but they only managed to drink half of it. They simply couldn't pour out the rest. In zero gravity, the liquid has no weight, just like the air, so it doesn't pour, and if you try to squeeze it out, it just mixes with the air into foam. There was no straws or tubes on board, so they had to leave and hide half the flask behind. Imagine the crew's surprise when the next cosmonauts returned to Earth and they said they had finished the cognac. But how? It turned out they came up with a method. They would float up to the ceiling and one of them would hold the flask with his lips, while the other would hit him on the head. The first one would flow downward and the liquid would pour into his mouth due to inertia. Then they would switch places. As they put it later, besides higher education, you also need at least middle-level imagination. And somehow, in the middle of all that pressure, they still found ways to laugh like absolute madmen.
Because humor, that was survival too.
In 1986, right in the middle of the space race, two cosmonauts aboard the Soviet Mir space station rigged up a spacesuit using a system of strings and decided to put it to good use during a live video session with Earth. So during the session, Mission Control suddenly saw something strange. Behind the two crew members, out of nowhere, a third figure appeared, in a spacesuit, awkwardly squeezing through and waving a hand.
Who? Where from? How?
Mission Control was completely baffled. Then the mission commander on board decided to finish them off. He glanced over his shoulder, sighed tiredly and said, "Oh, it is you again. Alright, come on through." Just imagine the faces of the operators in Mission Control.
You see, laughing was a pretty effective coping mechanism back then, even when it was completely unintentional.
In June 1963, during a spaceflight on Vostok 5, communication wasn't great yet, obviously. So when one of the cosmonauts, Valery Bykovsky, sent down a message from orbit, everyone in Mission Control Center was on high alert. At 0:05, there was a cosmic boom. Over, said Bykovsky. All the engineers, including the chief architect Sergei Korolev, were alarmed. They radioed back,
A boom? Where? Was there a second boom?
Pause. Bykovsky replied, "No, was there supposed to be?" Over. Now Mission Control was even more confused.
What kind of boom was it?
What kind? A normal one. Just a regular boom.
Was it inside or outside?
What do you mean inside or outside? How would that even... Another pause. Then Bykovsky burst out laughing. No, not boom, stool. I mean, well, I took a dump in space. Cosmic stool, you get it? Mission Control didn't even answer, everyone was laughing. Later that month, General Nikolai Kamanin officially congratulated Bykovsky on the achievement. He became the first person to do that in space.
All of these stories show only one thing. The first people in space were built differently.
They operated under pressure that most people wouldn't survive for 5 minutes. Through pain, blood, sweat and tears, they went into the void for a better tomorrow, for all mankind.
But whether these stories are true or not, decide for yourself.